I feel like this is a very important video to kind of put out separately from the updated blog posts or weekly blog posts that I normally do every Wednesday. This is very important because this has to relate to how everything going forward with S&box and its release and Garry's attitude towards it. All this is very exciting news, and I think it would be perfect for a separate video. So first off, if you have not seen the last video that I did, which was an updated blog post for the week, please feel free to watch that because this will provide a little bit more context, even though I'm going to provide that in this video too. In the blog post, Garry mentions about a new thing that's called open source finances, which is a new metrics page on the official website. This is due to so many different things, right? The first is obviously the cosmetics, right? Cosmetics have been a thing that has been a talking point with this game since it's still not out as of this video. The developer preview has been something that has been going on for the last couple of years. The point of the developer preview is that Garry and the Face Punch team won a bunch of developers who've either worked on Garry's mod or Roblox, whatever it is, right? If you're a game developer and we want you to use our tools to then create cool stuff, that was the first part of it. The second part was that eventually people wanted to kind of get more out of it in terms of developers, which was, I'm spending all this time making stuff. I'd like to be able to get paid for that. So Garry already thought of this idea alone, which is S&box in general, because he wasn't able to do that with Garry's mod. He was incredibly limited with Garry's mod in terms of what it was, which was a mod. He did want people to get paid for the creations, but instead, most of the people that have created stuff on Garry's mod decided to up and leave because they could not go and take the game off of the platform and were stuck there and really could not make any other money compared to probably servers that were able to do like VIP packs and all this other stuff, right? With S&box, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make it easier for people to be able to not only create their own games on S&box or Face Punch engine as what it really is. Cosmetics has definitely been something of an interest because this is a way for developers and creators to properly get paid on S&box, especially since the game is not out yet and most of the people that are playing it are like people like you and me that are in the know. For a lot of people that are outside of the S&box community who are hearing about this again as Garry's working on the spiritual successor to Garry's mod, which is S&box and a whole bunch of other stuff for years, people have been out of the loop. And a lot of that information is all over the place. But cosmetics have been the first thing that people have been seeing. And that has been a cause for concern for some people because of the public perception and the first initial perception of the game is just, okay, it's not out yet and you're already trying to sell me cosmetics. So Garry then responded to the community talking about why he's doing this in the first place. And this is in a way to kind of pay out developers, which is one of the goals of S&box, but also at the same time to keep the game afloat in terms of paying developers who are actively working on S&box and also creating content on S&box. Now, this time around, Garry has completely said for the last blog post that I covered, screw it. You know what? I'm going to show you exactly where all of our money is going from in and out of the company. And that's what we have on this page right here, which is this new metrics page. You could see from all the way when this first started within this year to November, which is insane. And it gets wild because by the time that it hits from September to November, it just goes up. And this is really, really interesting stuff because, again, I think transparency is something that Garry and Face Punch are really wanting to do. They're trying to say, hey, listen, you can go and look up all the details and everything. We're not hiding anything from you in terms of what this is right now. You can see exactly what our pay is, what our sales tax that we have to like pay out, the refunds we have to do, and also how much we have to pay Valve just for using Source 2 and all this other stuff with the engine to make our own engine. This is really crazy. And then you can also see the money going out to people, specifically in either the play fund or the cosmetics. Now, it seems like in part that right now with this graph, the play fund has been paying out people, but the cosmetics are slowly starting to overtake that, which is very interesting. Most of the money is still, again, play fund compared to cosmetics, but depending on how that's going to be for the next couple of months, especially going into early release as what Garry's talking about, take that with a grain of salt, please. And this is something very interesting to me. So this is going to lead us into another thing, which is a bunch of stuff that Garry has mentioned recently and people were informing me about in the S&box Discord. Garry has been having conversations within the community, talking more about just overall transparency, the finances as what we're looking at right here, and also his attitude towards launching S&box. Now, in terms of launching games, it seems like Garry is just kind of used to the idea of not really giving up on something. I mean, in terms of how Rust was, if anyone really remembers long ago how Rust used to be, it was completely different compared to how it is right now. It seems like Garry is already used to the idea of when something is released, it has to take time, and they've done it again and again and again. Garry's mod was something that some people even mentioned, a thing that people didn't really like until later down the line. It was the same thing with Rust, and Rust is now one of the biggest games on Steam with like over 100,000 concurrent players. It's insane. And that's just from years of just developing it and trying to give it time to actually cook. This relates to just how his attitude is towards these games. Again, S&box is a live service game. This is another live service game, as Rust is also. This is something that I think is very important, especially for just overall how people look at the game. And I understand it's not going to satisfy some people, and that's just fine, right? You can't satisfy people who are not satisfied in general. Everything that's being presented is very, very important because of perception and also at the same time, just transparency. I think a lot of people like the idea of, can you just tell us what's going on and show us proof? This is that proof, right? Closing this out, Garry has been talking about how at the end of the month that things are going to start to accelerate. Now, I have already covered in a previous video about how there was commits in terms of release and nothing really much else from it. They have been working on a bunch of other things like the new construct map for S&box, which is S and construct. I'm assuming that's probably going to be the name. I can't wait for that because that's probably going to be a video. And a bunch of other stuff that's going to be happening. So again, this is all the stuff that I like to kind of nerd out about because I am liking what is going on. And I think it's really nice to be able to see that Garry is trying to just completely do the thing that he wants to do, which is like, here's all the information. I want to make it that you don't have to worry about anything. This is what we're doing. I'm going to be completely honest about it. But at the same time, here's all the money. Like, here's where you can go find all the money and everything. I'd like to know, especially from you in the community, leave a comment down below and talk to me a bit more about this because I think, again, fairly interesting stuff, but that's all I really have to say about this video. I'm yapping on for too long. If you haven't already, feel free to check the latest video that I worked on, which was the blog post update right here on screen. Subscribe to the channel for more updates, games, reviews, all that other cool stuff, wacky content by me, and I'll see you guys next time.